What if the first signs are silent? Imagine waking up one day and struggling to remember where you put your keys. You think to yourself, I must be getting old, or it's just stress. But what if this seemingly harmless forgetfulness is more than that? What if it's an early sign of something more serious? As a doctor with over 30 years of experience in neurology and geriatrics, I've seen many patients dismiss the first subtle symptoms of dementia. By the time they seek help, the disease has already progressed. And that's a real issue because dementia doesn't announce itself loudly. It doesn't scream, I'm here. Instead, it quietly creeps in, often years before it's fully diagnosed. In this video, I'm going to take you through 6 early signs of dementia that most people either don't notice or mistake for normal aging. You may be surprised to learn that changes in the brain start long before memory loss occurs. The truth is, you can experience these symptoms decades before the first noticeable signs appear, and the sooner you catch them, the better you'll be able to manage your health. I'm going to share personal stories from my practice and some cutting-edge research that shows the potential for slowing or even preventing dementia. This isn't just about learning to recognize symptoms, it's about empowering yourself to take action before it's too late. Part 1. What is dementia? Before we talk about the early signs of dementia, it's essential to have a clear understanding of what dementia truly is. For many, the term dementia is often reduced to a simple catch-all for forgetfulness in older adults. However, that view oversimplifies the complexity of the condition. Dementia is much more than just memory loss. It's a profound disruption of the very cognitive functions we rely on every day. What exactly is dementia? Dementia is an umbrella term that encompasses a range of symptoms related to a decline in cognitive ability, memory, attention, reasoning, problem-solving, and decision-making. But here's the critical part. These symptoms go beyond the occasional forgetfulness that we all experience, like misplacing your keys or forgetting someone's name. They interfere with the ability to perform everyday tasks that require mental effort, cooking, driving, managing finances, or even maintaining personal hygiene. Dr. Maria Carrillo, Chief Science Officer at the Alzheimer's Association, states in a 2020 article in JAMA Neurology, dementia is a general term for a decline in cognitive function severe enough to interfere with daily life. It's a disease of the brain that affects the basic processes that help you understand the world around you and engage with it. The brain is the organ that shapes our personality, memories, and experiences. And in dementia, that brain starts to break down. Neurons, which are the brain's building blocks, die at a rate far faster than in typical aging. As this happens, the person's sense of self can start to crumble. They may forget who they are, lose their identity, and in the worst cases, not even recognize their loved ones. The neurodegeneration process. What happens inside the brain during dementia is nothing short of alarming. The human brain consists of about 100 billion neurons that communicate with each other through complex electrical signals. In dementia, these neurons begin to deteriorate and die off. This process doesn't happen overnight. It occurs gradually over years, often unnoticed until the effects become irreversible. A leading researcher in neurodegenerative diseases, Dr. Alois Alzheimer, who first described Alzheimer's disease in 1906, noticed that the brains of individuals who suffered from memory loss exhibited abnormal plaques and tangles. These are misfolded proteins, beta-amyloid plaques, and tau tangles that accumulate in the brain, disrupting its normal function. These plaques, particularly in Alzheimer's, interfere with the brain's ability to process information. Dr. Thomas Insel, former director of the National Institute of Mental Health, in his book The Age of Emotions, 2017, discusses how these changes in the brain directly affect a person's ability to understand and navigate the world. He explains, when neurons die, it's not just the loss of memory, it's the disintegration of a person's identity. This loss of self is one of the most devastating aspects of dementia. It's not simply forgetting where you put your glasses. It's the gradual erosion of who you are, of the experiences and emotions that make you you. Types of dementia. While the general public often thinks of Alzheimer's disease as the only type of dementia, the reality is far more complex. Dementia can manifest in different forms, each with unique causes and characteristics. Alzheimer's disease, 60 to 70% of cases. Alzheimer's is the most common type of dementia, accounting for the majority of cases worldwide. It's marked by the accumulation of beta-amyloid plaques and tau tangles in the brain, which disrupt communication between neurons, leading to cognitive decline. As the disease progresses, people with Alzheimer's can experience difficulty with language, disorientation, mood swings, and memory loss. Dr. David Bennett, director of the Rush Alzheimer's Disease Center, notes, Alzheimer's is not a part of aging. The brain undergoes a series of pathological changes long before symptoms emerge. It's this silent progression that makes early detection so challenging, but so important. Vascular dementia, 20% of cases. This form of dementia is caused by poor blood flow to the brain, often due to stroke or high blood pressure. It is the second most common type of dementia. The brain's cells don't get enough oxygen, leading to a loss of cognitive function. People with vascular dementia may experience sudden memory loss, difficulty thinking, and trouble with motor control. One of the key features of vascular dementia is the rapid progression of cognitive decline, which typically follows a stroke or series of mini-strokes. According to a 2019 study published in The Lancet Neurology, vascular risk factors such as smoking, diabetes, and hypertension significantly increase the risk of developing vascular dementia. These lifestyle factors damage the blood vessels in the brain, restricting blood flow. Lewy body dementia, 10% of cases. Lewy body dementia is a more complex and rare form of dementia, named after the Lewy bodies, abnormal clumps of protein that develop inside nerve cells in the brain. This condition shares characteristics with both Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease and can cause hallucinations, delusions, and motor difficulties, including tremors and stiffness. Dr. James Burke, a leading expert in Lewy body dementia at the Johns Hopkins Alzheimer's Disease Research Center, points out that people with Lewy body dementia often experience vivid visual hallucinations, which makes it both emotionally and physically challenging for them and their caregivers. Frontotemporal dementia, 5% of cases. Frontotemporal dementia, FTD, affects the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain, areas responsible for decision-making, behavior, and language. FTD is typically diagnosed in people under 65 and leads to significant behavioral changes and language difficulties. Unlike Alzheimer's, memory loss isn't the first noticeable symptom. Instead, individuals may exhibit extreme changes in personality, impulsivity, or inappropriate behavior. In Bruce Willis's case, his diagnosis of FTD, also known as Pick's disease, highlights the unpredictable nature of dementia and how it can affect even the most well-known individuals. Dr. Bruce Miller, a renowned neurologist at the UCSF Memory and Aging Center, has conducted extensive research into FTD and explains that the disease strikes at the very core of a person's behavior and emotional regulation. Unlike Alzheimer's, it often involves significant personality changes long before memory loss occurs. Understanding the erosion of self. What makes dementia so devastating is the way it erodes a person's sense of self. This is especially true in Alzheimer's disease, where the loss of memory and cognitive function often leads to confusion about who the person is, where they are, and who their loved ones are. A 2018 article in the New England Journal of Medicine states, as cognitive decline progresses, patients may experience cognitive disintegration, where they lose the ability to recognize their own image in the mirror or the faces of their children. This is a heartbreaking reality for families, as the person they love begins to fade away in a way that is difficult to comprehend. Conclusion. Now that we've explored what dementia is and how it affects the brain, you may begin to realize how much damage can occur long before obvious symptoms appear. Dementia is a neurodegenerative disease that destroys the brain's cognitive systems, and in doing so, it dismantles the very essence of the person, their identity, their relationships, and their memories. Understanding the different types of dementia is crucial, not only for early detection, but also for the development of targeted treatments. With research advancing at a rapid pace, we are hopeful that the future will bring new treatments and perhaps even a cure. In the next part, I'll guide you through the 6 early signs of dementia, those subtle clues that can appear years before a diagnosis is made. Part 2. The 6 early signs of dementia you should never ignore. Detecting dementia early is crucial for slowing its progression and improving the quality of life for those affected. While we often associate memory loss with dementia, the disease can manifest in subtle ways long before noticeable memory lapses. These 6 early signs are often overlooked or misattributed to normal aging. Recognizing them early could make all the difference in managing the disease and preserving cognitive function. 1. Difficulty finding words, aphasia. One of the most common and early signs of dementia is difficulty finding the right words. This isn't just a case of having a bad memory or just being tired. It is a consistent, recurring issue. People with dementia may begin to substitute words with the wrong ones, saying bottle when they mean cup or watch when they mean clock. Dr. John Morris, a prominent neurologist and director of the Alzheimer's Disease Research Center at Washington University in St. Louis, explains, aphasia, difficulty finding the right words, is often one of the first cognitive symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. In his 2014 publication in The Lancet, Dr. Morris pointed out that early aphasia is linked to atrophy in the left temporal lobe, the brain's language center, which is one of the earliest regions affected by Alzheimer's. In my practice, I have seen many patients exhibiting this symptom. Mrs. M, a 69-year-old retired nurse, started mixing up words during conversations. Her family initially dismissed it as a harmless mistake, but over time it worsened. She could no longer remember basic terms, and even her own grandchildren's names slipped her mind. Eventually, she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, a condition where the deterioration of neurons in the left temporal lobe severely impacts language processing. 2. Apathy and anhedonia, loss of interest in activities. Another major sign of early dementia is a profound loss of interest in activities that once brought joy. People who once loved hobbies such as reading, cooking, or socializing may suddenly show little interest in them. This emotional flatness, called apathy, often manifests as a complete disinterest in family gatherings or personal hobbies. Dr. David Bennett, a renowned neurologist and director of the Rush Alzheimer's Disease Center, explains that apathy in dementia is due to changes in the dopamine system. This system controls motivation, pleasure, and reward. In his 2018 study published in JAMA Neurology, Dr. Bennett and his team found that individuals with significant brain atrophy showed marked decreases in emotional expression and a loss of interest in activities that once brought them joy. For instance, Mr. W, a 75-year-old retired schoolteacher, was an avid chess player. He would spend hours strategizing his next moves, but as his dementia progressed, he stopped playing altogether. He began to withdraw from family events and neglected his once-loved garden. His family initially attributed his behavior to aging, but later they realized that apathy, a common early symptom of dementia, was taking hold. 3. Sleep disturbances. Sleep issues are often one of the first subtle signs of dementia, yet they are frequently overlooked or attributed to stress, aging, or medical conditions like sleep apnea. In reality, sleep disturbances in people with dementia can take many forms, including excessive daytime sleepiness, restless leg syndrome, fragmented sleep, and even nightmares. Dr. Maiken Nedergaard, a neuroscientist at the University of Rochester and a leading researcher in the area of sleep and brain health, explains, the glymphatic system, which clears waste from the brain during sleep, becomes impaired in those with Alzheimer's disease. Dr. Nedergaard's research, published in Science Advances, 2013, found that deep sleep is essential for clearing beta-amyloid plaques, the hallmark protein accumulation in Alzheimer's disease. In my practice, I treated Mr. R, a 72-year-old retired banker who began waking up multiple times throughout the night, often feeling disoriented. His wife reported that he would wander around the house, unable to recall what he was doing. This sudden shift in his sleep patterns, along with his increasing confusion, turned out to be an early indicator of dementia. Number 4. Muscle weakness and frailty. One of the lesser-known signs of early dementia is muscle weakness and frailty. Research has shown that dementia, particularly Alzheimer's disease, is more prevalent in women, and surprisingly, muscle strength can be an early warning sign of the disease. In a groundbreaking 2015 study published in The Lancet Neurology, researchers found that women with weaker grip strength were twice as likely to develop dementia within 5 years compared to those with stronger grips. This study, led by Professor Karin Anstey, director of the Center for Research on Aging at the University of New South Wales, demonstrated a clear link between physical frailty and cognitive decline. Mrs. T, a 77-year-old former ballet dancer, had always been strong and agile. However, in the past year, she started struggling to stand up from a chair and found it difficult to walk without support. Her family noticed that her arms and legs felt weaker, which she initially attributed to aging. But as her memory issues worsened, it became clear that her physical frailty was a reflection of underlying neurodegeneration. This connection between physical and mental health underscores the importance of monitoring both aspects as part of dementia prevention. 5. Changes in sensory perception, hearing, smell, and depth perception. Dementia often leads to sensory changes, which can be very subtle at first but may significantly impact daily life. People with dementia may experience loss of smell, decreased depth perception, or heightened sensitivity to noise. These changes can appear before any significant memory loss. Mr. B, a 70-year-old retiree, had always been an avid cook, known for his love of fresh herbs and spices. However, his family noticed that he started using far fewer seasonings, despite his usual preference for bold flavors. When they asked about it, he admitted, "I don't taste it anymore." Along with this loss of taste, he had developed heightened sensitivity to noise, even small sounds like the ticking of a clock, which had never bothered him before. Research published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease, 2017, by Dr. Claude L. Larrett, a prominent neurologist at the University of Paris, found that olfactory dysfunction, loss of smell, is one of the earliest symptoms of Alzheimer's. Studies have also shown that untreated hearing loss in midlife is a significant risk factor for dementia, as the brain must work harder to process sounds, which can accelerate cognitive decline. Number 6. Postural changes, gait and balance issues. One of the most overlooked early signs of dementia is changes in posture and gait. People with dementia often develop an altered gait, which includes slower steps, dragging feet, or poor balance. They may also struggle with coordination when performing simple tasks, such as using a fork or holding a cup. In a study published in the Journal of Neurology, Neurosurgery and Psychiatry, Professor Anja Solden from the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine found that subtle motor changes, such as difficulty with gait and balance, are often the first physical symptoms of dementia. She suggests that motor changes may reflect early degeneration in the basal ganglia, the part of the brain responsible for movement coordination. Mrs. H, a 74-year-old woman who had always been very active, began walking with a slow, shuffling gait. Her family initially attributed it to aging, but as her memory deteriorated, it became clear that this was one of the early signs of Lewy body dementia. These changes in motor function, especially in the basal ganglia, are linked to cognitive decline, and detecting them early can help in managing the disease. Conclusion. Recognizing the early signs. These 6 early signs of dementia may seem minor and can easily be mistaken for natural aging. However, recognizing them early is crucial. As I've seen throughout my career, the sooner dementia is diagnosed, the more effectively it can be managed, and the more likely the person will maintain a good quality of life for a longer time. If you or a loved one is experiencing any of these symptoms, don't ignore them. Early intervention, through cognitive therapies, lifestyle adjustments, and medical treatments, can significantly improve the management of dementia. In the next part, I'll dive deeper into the more advanced symptoms of dementia and share some of the most promising research in treatments and prevention. Stay with me. These insights could change how we approach dementia prevention and management. Part 3. 10 Classic Symptoms of Dementia. What to look for as the disease progresses. While early detection is crucial, dementia doesn't stop there. The progression of the disease brings new, more noticeable symptoms. These signs can be disturbing for both the person affected and their family, but understanding them early gives you the best chance to manage the condition. 1. Short-term memory problems. Short-term memory problems are one of the most recognized symptoms of dementia. At first, the person might remember details from their past with clarity, childhood friends, trips, and family events. But when it comes to recent events, they struggle to remember what they had for breakfast or whether they've already made an appointment. I once treated Mr. F, a 75-year-old historian who could recall his research from decades ago, but had trouble remembering his daughter's phone number. This pattern of memory loss, where past memories are preserved while recent ones fade, is common in Alzheimer's and is caused by degeneration in the hippocampus, the brain's memory center. Number 2. Difficulty following conversations. As dementia progresses, it becomes harder to follow conversations. Words might become jumbled, and the person might struggle to make sense of a conversation or fail to grasp its context. They may even stop responding to questions because they simply can't keep track of what's being said. Mrs. D, a 68-year-old teacher, began to lose track of conversations at dinner. She would ask the same question repeatedly within the same conversation, unable to remember what was just discussed. This happens as the brain's prefrontal cortex, which helps with attention and comprehension, becomes damaged. 3. Mood or behavior changes. People with dementia often experience significant mood swings. They can go from being joyful to easily agitated, even angry, with little or no provocation. In some cases, they might even become suspicious of others or paranoid. I've had many patients like Mr. T who were once the epitome of calm and patience, but suddenly became combative or deeply withdrawn. These mood swings are linked to changes in the brain's emotional regulation centers, including the amygdala and frontal cortex. It's not just bad behavior, it's the disease altering how the brain processes emotions. 4. Poor judgment and decision-making. People with dementia often show poor judgment, which can result in risky or dangerous behaviors. For example, they might forget to turn off the stove, get lost in familiar places, or leave the house without telling anyone. One of my patients, Mr. H, once left his house without his shoes or a coat on a chilly morning. He got lost and was found several hours later in a neighboring town. This decision-making impairment occurs because the brain's frontal lobe, which controls reasoning and decision-making, is increasingly affected. Number 5. Loss of sense of time. Another common symptom is a confusion about time. A person with dementia may forget what day it is or even what year it is. This confusion can extend to daily routines, such as meal times or when to go to bed. Mrs. F, a 72-year-old retiree, began to lose track of the time of day. She would ask, "What time is it?" several times in an hour, despite having a clock right in front of her. This symptom happens as the brain's temporal lobe and circadian rhythms begin to deteriorate, disrupting the person's internal clock. Number 6. Repeating the same questions. As dementia progresses, individuals may ask the same question repeatedly, even after receiving a clear and precise answer. They may not remember that they've already been told, leading them to repeat the same inquiries. Mr. R, a 78-year-old man, would ask his wife what time dinner was every 10 minutes, despite being told multiple times. This repetitiveness stems from the brain's failure to retain short-term information, especially in the working memory regions. 7. Disorientation and getting lost. People with dementia often get disoriented, even in familiar places. They may wander into unknown areas or become confused about how to navigate their own home. Mr. T, a former mechanic, once went to the grocery store and got lost on his way home. He had been to that store hundreds of times, but his spatial memory was compromised due to brain changes. The parietal lobe, responsible for spatial awareness and navigation, becomes damaged as dementia progresses. 8. Misplacing objects in odd places. As the disease advances, individuals may put things in unusual locations. A person might place a set of keys in the refrigerator or a wallet in the bathroom drawer. Mrs. K, an 80-year-old librarian, was constantly losing things. She once put her shoes in the oven and her glasses in the laundry basket. This symptom is often linked to impairments in the frontal cortex that affect the brain's ability to remember where items are placed. 9. Hallucinations and delusions. In the later stages of dementia, hallucinations may occur. These can involve seeing, hearing, or feeling things that aren't there, such as seeing people who have passed away or hearing voices. One of my patients, Mr. M, began hearing his deceased wife's voice calling him. At first, he thought it was a strange coincidence, but it soon became a regular occurrence. Hallucinations in dementia are usually caused by disruptions in the visual and auditory processing centers of the brain, leading to false perceptions. 10. Urinary and fecal incontinence. In the later stages, many people with dementia lose control of their bladder or bowels. They may not recognize when they need to use the bathroom or may forget to go altogether. Mr. B, a 79-year-old retired engineer, began having issues with incontinence. He would forget to go to the bathroom or, in some cases, wouldn't realize he had an accident. This symptom is linked to the loss of neurological control over the body's essential functions. Part 4. What are the causes of dementia? While genetics undoubtedly play a role in the development of dementia, they are far from the sole contributor. The onset of dementia is influenced by a combination of genetic, environmental, and lifestyle factors. Understanding these causes is not just about identifying risk, it's about empowering individuals to make proactive choices that could potentially prevent or delay the disease. 1. Head injuries, a silent contributor. Many people are unaware that head injuries, especially concussions, can significantly increase the risk of developing dementia later in life. This may seem surprising, but there is a growing body of research linking traumatic brain injuries, TBIs, with the onset of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE. In a groundbreaking study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA, 2018, Dr. Jesse Mez, a leading researcher at Boston University's Chronic Traumatic Encephalopathy Center, examined NFL players with a history of head injuries. His team found a strong correlation between repeated concussions and the early onset of Alzheimer's-like symptoms, including memory loss, mood swings, and impaired cognitive function. Dr. Mez stated, "Even a single concussion can increase the risk of developing dementia. The damage caused by a blow to the head may take years or even decades to fully manifest." The brain's hippocampus, responsible for memory formation, is particularly vulnerable to injury. When neurons in this area are damaged, cognitive decline can accelerate, making head injuries a serious risk factor for dementia. 2. Stroke and cardiovascular health. Stroke, often viewed as an isolated event, can lead to lasting cognitive deficits that significantly increase the risk of developing dementia. A stroke occurs when the brain's blood supply is interrupted, leading to the death of brain cells. The long-term effects of this disruption can range from mild cognitive impairments to full-blown dementia. Dr. Alvaro S. Pascual-Leone, a professor at Harvard Medical School, explains in a 2020 article in Lancet Neurology, the damage caused by a stroke can lead to both vascular dementia and cognitive impairment. The brain's ability to repair itself diminishes over time, and cognitive decline can occur even years after the stroke. Research by Dr. Celeste O. Samuels, a neurologist at Johns Hopkins University, has shown that stroke survivors are more likely to experience significant cognitive decline within a year. In her 2017 study, over 60% of stroke patients showed substantial cognitive deterioration, especially those with chronic high blood pressure or atherosclerosis, narrowing of the blood vessels. Number 3. Chronic infections, the silent invaders. While HIV is the most recognized chronic infection that can elevate the risk of dementia, other infections like syphilis or hepatitis can also lead to cognitive decline. Chronic infections trigger inflammation throughout the body, and the brain is no exception. Dr. Francine Grodstein, a prominent epidemiologist at Harvard University, conducted a study published in the Lancet Infectious Diseases, 2016, which found that individuals with chronic infections showed an increased rate of neurodegeneration. She stated, "Long-term infection-related inflammation may disrupt the brain's normal function, creating an environment that fosters the development of neurodegenerative diseases such as dementia." HIV-associated neurocognitive disorder, HAND, is a perfect example of how an infection can accelerate cognitive decline. Even in the era of effective antiretroviral therapy, HIV still poses a risk to cognitive health due to the long-term inflammatory responses triggered by the virus. Number 4. Cardiovascular diseases, the brain-heart connection. Dementia is increasingly being recognized as a cardiovascular-related disease. Cardiovascular conditions like atherosclerosis, high blood pressure, and atrial fibrillation, all of which impair blood flow, are directly linked to dementia, particularly vascular dementia. In a 2019 study from the American Heart Association, AHA, Dr. Ronald A. Cohen, a leading cardiologist, emphasized that poor cardiovascular health is one of the strongest risk factors for dementia. He explains, the heart and brain are intricately connected. What is good for your heart is good for your brain and vice versa. Healthy blood flow ensures the brain gets the oxygen and nutrients it needs to function. For example, atherosclerosis, plaque buildup in the arteries, limits the brain's blood supply, depriving neurons of the oxygen they need. Over time, this damage can lead to cognitive decline and dementia. Similarly, high blood pressure increases the risk of both vascular dementia and Alzheimer's disease by causing damage to the blood vessels in the brain. 5. Nutritional deficiencies. A lack of essential nutrients. Nutritional deficiencies can play a major role in the onset of dementia. Vitamin B1, thiamine, and vitamin B12 are particularly important for brain health. Deficiencies in these vitamins can lead to cognitive impairments and in severe cases result in Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome, a type of dementia. Dr. Mark A. McLeod, a neurologist at the University of California, Los Angeles, conducted a study published in Neurobiology of Aging, 2019, which found that low levels of vitamin B12 were linked to a higher risk of developing dementia. He explained, vitamin B12 is crucial for the maintenance of the myelin sheath around nerve fibers. Without it, the brain's ability to communicate effectively diminishes, leading to cognitive decline. Dr. William L. Roberts, professor of medicine at the University of Minnesota, also found that poor diet, especially a diet high in processed foods and low in essential nutrients, contributes to dementia. According to his research, diets rich in saturated fats and sugars increase the risk of insulin resistance, which is linked to Alzheimer's disease. 6. Alcohol and drug use. A dangerous connection. Excessive alcohol consumption and drug use can significantly raise the risk of developing dementia. Chronic alcohol abuse leads to brain shrinkage, particularly in areas associated with memory and decision-making. This form of cognitive decline is called alcohol-related dementia. Dr. Barbara A. Reed, a clinical neurologist at Stanford University, published a study in Addiction Biology, 2020, which found that prolonged alcohol abuse can lead to the degeneration of neurons in the hippocampus and other brain regions, severely impairing memory and learning. She noted, alcohol-related brain damage is often reversible, but if left unchecked, it can lead to irreversible cognitive decline. Similarly, recreational drug use, including the use of cocaine and methamphetamines, has been shown to increase the risk of dementia by causing neurotoxic effects and disrupting the brain's ability to function normally. Preventive measures, what you can do. While some causes of dementia, such as genetics, cannot be reversed, there are plenty of preventive measures you can take to minimize your risk. Here are a few strategies backed by scientific research. Protect your head. Wearing helmets during sports and avoiding head injuries can reduce your risk of dementia caused by traumatic brain injury. Manage cardiovascular health. Keep your blood pressure and cholesterol in check. Exercise regularly and maintain a heart-healthy diet to protect your brain health. Improve your diet. A Mediterranean diet, rich in olive oil, fish, whole grains, and fruits and vegetables, can protect your brain from oxidative damage and inflammation. Address nutritional deficiencies. Ensure you are getting enough vitamin B12 and vitamin D. These nutrients are essential for cognitive function, and deficiencies can lead to memory problems and cognitive decline. Limit alcohol consumption. Moderation is key. Reducing alcohol intake can help preserve brain function and reduce the risk of alcohol-related dementia. Quit smoking. Smoking is a major risk factor for dementia, so quitting can have immediate benefits for both your heart and brain health. Conclusion. A call to action. Dementia is a complex condition with multiple contributing factors, both genetic and environmental. While some causes are out of our control, many are modifiable through lifestyle changes. Armed with knowledge, we can take steps today to protect our brain health for the future. As Dr. Rudolph Tanzi, professor of neurology at Harvard Medical School, says, the brain is like a muscle. The more you use it and take care of it, the stronger and more resilient it becomes. Stay proactive in your health, make the necessary lifestyle adjustments, and seek help if you or a loved one is experiencing early signs of dementia. Early intervention is key, and there is still much hope in the ongoing research and treatments emerging from the scientific community. Part: How to prevent dementia. Lifestyle changes you can make today. As we continue to delve into the causes of dementia, it's important to remember that while we cannot always control genetics, we can control many of the lifestyle factors that contribute to cognitive decline. The good news is that there are multiple strategies you can adopt to either reduce your risk or slow the progression of dementia. Let's explore these preventative measures in depth, backed by the latest scientific research. Number 1, build your cognitive reserve. Keep your brain active. The concept of cognitive reserve is like building up a savings account for your brain. Cognitive reserve refers to the brain's ability to withstand damage and still function. Just as we can save money to prepare for the future, we can engage in mentally stimulating activities to build this reserve. Dr. Yaakov Stern, professor of neurology at Columbia University, is a leading expert in cognitive reserve. In his 2019 paper in the Journal of Clinical Neurology, Dr. Stern states, "Cognitive reserve is like a buffer that allows the brain to continue functioning even when pathological changes occur." In simpler terms, engaging in challenging mental activities like learning a new language, solving puzzles, playing an instrument, or even reading regularly can significantly strengthen your brain's ability to cope with age-related decline. One of Dr. Stern's key studies, conducted at Columbia's Taub Institute for Research on Alzheimer's Disease, concluded that people who have consistently engaged in cognitive tasks, even in later life, have a 50% lower risk of developing dementia compared to those who do not. So, whether you're picking up the guitar, mastering a new language, or challenging your mind with crossword puzzles, every bit helps in building a stronger cognitive foundation for the future. 2. Stay physically active. Exercise your body. Boost your brain. Regular physical exercise isn't just great for your heart, it's essential for your brain as well. Research consistently shows that aerobic exercises like walking, cycling, or swimming are powerful tools in preserving cognitive function and preventing dementia. Exercise helps maintain healthy blood flow to the brain, encourages the growth of new brain cells, and even increases the size of the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory and learning. A landmark study published in The Lancet Neurology 2017 by Dr. Arthur F. Kramer, professor of psychology at the University of Illinois, showed that regular physical activity can increase the size of the hippocampus in adults over 60 years old, effectively reducing the risk of age-related cognitive decline. Dr. Kramer's research also found that older adults who engage in regular cardiovascular exercise have better cognitive performance and are less likely to develop Alzheimer's disease. Incorporating just 30 minutes of exercise a day can improve brain function, boost mood, and lower stress levels. Physical activity also supports neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. Number 3, eat a healthy diet. Feed your brain the right nutrients. One of the most powerful ways to protect your brain is through a healthy diet. A Mediterranean diet, or the MIND diet, which combines elements of the Mediterranean and DASH diets, is proven to support brain health. These diets are rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats, and lean proteins, and they have been shown to reduce the risk of dementia and Alzheimer's. According to a study by Dr. Martha Claire Morris, an epidemiologist at Rush University, the MIND diet was shown to reduce the risk of Alzheimer's by 53% in people who followed it rigorously. Dr. Morris, in her 2015 study published in Alzheimer's and Dementia, notes, "The MIND diet emphasizes foods that have strong anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties, which are essential in reducing neurodegeneration. Fatty fish, such as salmon, are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which are crucial for brain health. Omega-3s help reduce inflammation in the brain and promote cognitive function." A 2017 study published in the Journal of Clinical Psychiatry showed that omega-3 supplementation improved cognitive function in older adults, and even slowed down the progression of cognitive decline in people with early-stage Alzheimer's. Eating foods high in antioxidants, like berries, leafy greens, and nuts, also plays a critical role. Blueberries, in particular, have been shown to improve memory and cognitive function, thanks to their high levels of flavonoids, which protect the brain from oxidative stress and inflammation. 4. Manage your health. Control risk factors. It's essential to manage your blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar to reduce your risk of developing dementia. Poor cardiovascular health has been linked to an increased risk of vascular dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Dr. Deborah Blacker, a professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School, states, managing vascular risk factors, such as hypertension, hypercholesterolemia, and diabetes, is key in reducing the risk of dementia. The brain is highly sensitive to poor blood circulation, and these conditions can damage blood vessels, leading to cognitive decline. A study in the British Medical Journal, 2018, by Dr. Mark T. Sager, found that individuals with high blood pressure in middle age were at 2.5 times greater risk of developing dementia in later life. High cholesterol and type 2 diabetes also increase the risk, as they affect blood flow and cause inflammation, contributing to neuronal damage. Maintaining a healthy weight is also important. Excessive body fat, particularly visceral fat, can increase the risk of both dementia and cognitive decline. A healthy lifestyle that includes regular checkups, a balanced diet, and stress management will go a long way in protecting your brain. Number 5. Get enough sleep. Let your brain rest and recover. Sleep is vital for brain health, yet many people overlook its importance. Sleep is the body's natural method for clearing waste products from the brain, such as beta-amyloid plaques, which are linked to Alzheimer's disease. Dr. Matthew Walker, a renowned sleep expert and professor of neuroscience at UC Berkeley, writes in his book, Why We Sleep, sleep is the brain's washing machine. Without enough sleep, the brain cannot clear toxic proteins like beta-amyloid, which accumulate and form plaques, leading to Alzheimer's disease. Dr. Walker's research, published in The Lancet Neurology, 2019, found that sleep deprivation significantly increases the buildup of amyloid plaques, contributing to neurodegeneration. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of high-quality sleep each night to allow your brain to rest and detoxify properly. If you are having trouble sleeping, adopting a consistent sleep routine, managing stress, and limiting caffeine and alcohol intake before bed can help. Sleep apnea is also a significant risk factor for dementia, so it's essential to seek treatment if you're experiencing symptoms. 6. Stay socially engaged. Keep your brain sharp through connection. One of the most overlooked yet important factors in preventing dementia is social engagement. Research has shown that individuals who are socially active, whether through community involvement, family connections, or regular interaction with friends, have a significantly lower risk of cognitive decline. Dr. Andrew Steptoe, a professor of psychology at University College London, found in a 2017 study published in Psychological Science that people who maintain strong social connections throughout their life are 30 to 50% less likely to develop dementia. The study found that social isolation is a significant risk factor as it leads to increased stress and depression, which negatively impact cognitive function. Social activities stimulate the brain, requiring it to process emotions, remember details, and make decisions. Engaging in social hobbies such as dancing, group discussions, or volunteering can protect against dementia by continuously challenging the brain in a positive, engaging way. Conclusion: a healthier future for your brain. Preventing dementia is not just about avoiding risks. It's about proactively taking steps to keep your brain healthy. By building your cognitive reserve, staying physically active, eating a brain-healthy diet, managing your health, getting enough sleep, and staying socially engaged, you can significantly reduce your risk of dementia. As Dr. Norman Doidge, author of The Brain That Changes Itself, says, the brain is not hardwired, it's soft-wired, and you have the power to change it. Every healthy lifestyle choice you make today can help protect your brain and preserve your cognitive function for years to come. By making these small but powerful changes, you can help safeguard your cognitive health and reduce the risk of dementia, ensuring a better quality of life as you age. Conclusion: there is hope. While dementia can be devastating, early intervention, lifestyle changes, and scientific advancements offer hope. The key to managing dementia lies in staying vigilant, recognizing the early signs, and making conscious choices to protect your brain health. If you or a loved one is experiencing any of these symptoms, don't wait. Reach out to a healthcare provider to get the support you need. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please Please share it with others and subscribe for more insights into maintaining mental and physical health. Stay informed, stay healthy, and take care of your brain. It's worth it.